Hi everyone, I'm Mailou from Plans by Lulu and welcome on my channel. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and let's go! Welcome to another PLOOKS, Plants and Books, where I pair a book with a plant, and this does not represent my placing of them separately. It reflects my journey with the plant and my journey reading the book. This episode is going to be a bit different because I don't have the book with me. I have read it once and it is also a Dutch book, which is translated into English. However, I have read reviews of the English one and the reviews say the translation did not really land. Without further ado, let's introduce the book. In Dutch, it is called Het Gouden Ei, which literally translates to the golden egg. However, the English title is The Vanishing, and it's from Tim Krabbe. Because I don't have the book with me and I am not a key in directly translating on the top of my head, I'm going to read you a text from the Dutch Foundation of Literature. Central to the story is the disappearance of a young woman at a French motorway service station. Rex and Saskia are heading for the south of France after spending the night in a hotel. Bickering about whether to stop for petrol, they finally pull off at a Total garage, where Rex waits in the car while Saskia goes to get a cold drink. An hour later, she has still not returned. Cabret's authorial voice conveys a sensibility every bit as sinister as that of his creation. The novel's thoroughly amoral killer, Raymond Lemorne, is fixated on sartorial neatness and partial to expensive gourmet delicacies. Krabbe's strong characters and his dialogue, particularly between the genders, makes this clever, elegantly plotted story essential for reading for anyone drawn to exploring the dark side. It is a psychological thriller, and the first book, Het Gouden Ei, was published in Dutch in 1984. That book was adapted into a film, and the first film was made in 1988. The Vanishing, which is the English translation, was published in 1993. So the reason why I am wanting to discuss this book is because from a reader standpoint, I'm mostly reading English at the moment. That's because of my studies and because most things I find interesting I find in the English section, and I am not always aware that the book was translated before reading it. So I found that I often discuss translated books, which I find very cool because I never realized it. But that also means I never realized how the Dutch literature is coming across to like international audiences. And so that's why I wanted to discuss this book, because I think out of every Dutch thing I've read, this book is a staple thing. We have to read this book in school. It is a staple. It is a thing. It is, I believe it is also made into a play at some point. And I have to say, we had a rule: first read the book before you watch the movie. And I watched the movie first because I had to watch it for one of my film courses I took during my bachelor. And so I first saw the film. The film is so good. And then I read the book. And I have to say, do it the other way around, because the film is so good. The book is a bit dry at times. And what I've read from reviews online is that the Dutch is not really translated correct. So it loses a lot of feeling in some places. However, if you read the Dutch version, it can be very dry for some people. It can go into detail in some places where you think as a reader it's not needed. So that depends per person. I didn't mind that, but I can understand if people do. But the reason why I have chosen this book is because it is totally nuts what is happening. but it is so intriguing and it is really terrifying. Not like to the point where you go, ah, but more to the point where it's psychological, terrifying. If we talk about storytelling, it is the most terrifying Dutch literature I have read this far, but terrifying in the best way possible if we talk about storytelling. So the reason why I choose this one is because this plant, I love it, but you can say it is kind of terrifying. And well, let me show you the plant. It is a bit wobbly, which is not great, but can you see the detail? Can you see like the weirdness of this plant? And it is called Euphorbia horrida monstrosa, which is kind of horrida, horrible, monstrosa, monster. In some way, it can look terrifying. The name suggests it is a monster, and it should be kind of a Frankenstein-ish plant. And I could compare it to Frankenstein, however, that has a more deeper meaning, and this is more surface level, so I didn't want to do that. But yeah, we have this plant, and it is terrifying in the best way possible, I would say. And there's no long explanation for this. This is why I choose this pairing. And I don't know why, but I love the quirkiness of this plant. I love the Frankensteinish thing. I can understand that some people find this very ugly, but I think it is kind of terrifying in the best way possible. How is this mutation made? How did they craft this? Because it's not crafting in a traditional like garden crafting way. It just grows like this. It is not like put on. It just is kind of a mutation thing type. But I find it so fascinating. I hope you like this, Plooks. If you have any book recommendations or plant recommendations, leave them in the comments down below. If you want me to discuss a book and plant pairing, also leave that down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe and the like button, and I will see you in the next video. Doei!